important so that things don't feel so like polarizing, right?
Yeah. So, what are the logistics of the actual lending library? How do people check out banners?
So we have like pop-up locations, and so if people are interested in finding out more, we have a Facebook page that's just Protest Banner Lending Library, and we update that with whatever location we end up being at. So what happens when people check out a banner is usually they come to the space, look through the fabric banners, and then of course, pick the ones that they want. We have a card system, that's really say classic, right? Like it's just like index cards with the slogans written on them in the front, and then on the back it has a column for like a row for checkout date, check-in date, email addresses, and then the uses, who made the banner, when, what day or what month and year the banner entered the library. It's kind of the basic information we have. So then people just fill out, whoever's checking out whatever banner would fill out the date that they're checking it out. They would give us their email. And then if they're willing to share with us where they're going to take it, or they can fill this out later when they return it, they can put down where they're going to take the banner. And then that's it. And then when they return it, then, like I said, then we just put check-in date and then where they used it, if they're willing to share that information.
Do you ever have banners that don't make it back?
Yes, there are a couple. There's a handful that we haven't seen it for a very, very long time, and maybe some are gone forever. But for the most part, people are really, really, really great about returning them. Like, for example, the Women's March, not this year, but last year, I had 30 banners at that time. They were all checked out. And they were all returned.
That's great. So, for people who are not in Chicago, I get the impression that you have plans to bring this to other locations as well.
There's going to be a station in Philly. It's going to be actually opening this Friday at the Asian Arts Initiative. So we have that as a station. I'm in conversation with Tufts University in Boston. They want to bring a station there, and in discussion with a couple other places, such as possibly St. Louis, possibly Los Angeles. So we're trying to expand and create these other locations for it.
That's great. I mean, hopefully someday we won't need to protest anything.
Yeah.
That feels a long way off, but
I know that's the goal, right? That's the goal.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, do you have any last things that you want to talk about or make sure that people know?
I don't think I said this, but just that we also don't have any penalties or late fees or any deadlines for when we need the banners back, because we just want to, it's about trust and it's about support. So we don't want to implement these rules or penalties, because the project is not about that. Oh yeah, there's a good story, is that there's just one banner in our library that is no longer usable, talking about when thinking about hopefully we won't have to protest anymore. There's only one banner, and that one says in Korean "Pakune Taejin," so it means President Park resign. So of course President Park was impeached, and then there's been an election since, and then a new president in South Korea. So that is the only banner that's no longer usable. But everything else is still very relevant.
Well, fingers crossed that your first Dump Trump banner is no longer needed soon.
I know someone recently was like, hey, what are you going to do after? I was like, well, first of all, like you said, that feels like so far away. But then someone also was like, hey, this would be great to turn this into Trump's official, unofficial, presidential library. So I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be appropriate to have books in it. So, that, this feels more appropriate.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully that will come sooner than later.
Yeah. Well, this is great. We're going to put a link to the Facebook page up on our website so our listeners can find that. And I've already promised my 6-year-old, I told him I was going to be talking to you, and he said, "Can we borrow a banner?" And I said, "Yes, I'm sure we can find a way to borrow a banner." So,
yeah, yeah, please. Yeah, you can email me with whatever slogans you want. And also, just to let your listeners know, is that if you're interested in making a banner and maybe you're not in Chicago for a workshop, then we also have like a photo album with kind of a photo tutorial of how to make your own banner. So you can access that and make your own.
All right. Well, that's fantastic. Maybe I'll have a virtual banner making party. We can all drink wine in our own homes and make banners.
Yeah, it's like the best with booze. But of course, most spaces won't let me like do it with booze.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This has been really great, and I just love the idea of this project.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Our theme music is called Sweeter Vermouth and was composed by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. It is licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Our logo was created by Matthew Weflin, expressly for Two Broads Talking Politics, and is copyright 2017. You can contact us at twobroadstalkingpolitics@gmail.com or at twobroadstalk on Twitter. Our podcast can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and TuneIn. Please let us know if you have any trouble finding us.